All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our presentation on 8th grade kickoff to college and career. We know that this is a busy time of year for you and your students and also school personnel to make sure you're going to be in the right line to progress toward your career pathway and to college if that be your choice. So we want to make sure that students and parents, you too, that you will be ready whenever your students are ready for that next step. So I want to make sure I share with you a little bit about College Foundation of North Carolina. We are a comprehensive website at cfnc.org. You've probably at some point in time had the chance to explore what we are and what we do. We also exist as field reps. I'm Amy Denton, the regional representative for Eastern North Carolina. My area code is specifically 252. My colleague, Tequila Hall, is on the presentation tonight, and she'll be helping me share good information. She is our representative in the Piedmont region of the state. And we also exist behind a call center based out of Raleigh that parents and students can email or call us to find out information about planning and paying for college. And we're here to make sure that with all the partners and all the collaborators that you see on the screen here, that we can provide that information to you to ensure that you're ready, your students are ready for the next steps. So we're going to talk about some very basic information to begin with. Much of this information you know already, but it's going to, in the big scheme of things, help the presentation tonight about why school is so important. Why do students go to school? They're there to learn more than what they know right now. And as they progress grade level by grade level, they're going to make sure, and certainly we hope, that they're learning more to prepare them for the future. They go to school simply to see their friends, to play sports. It's the fun stuff sometimes why our students are going to school. And they participate in all sorts of activities. Some of the more popular ones quite often are band or chorus or art. It's a variety of reasons why they're there and want to be involved. And of course, one day we know that they may wish to plan to attend college. And college in the perspective of 2-year or 4-year, or maybe a trade school or some other reason to learn a certificate or a skill set, whatever it may be, that step beyond high school will be important. So while college may seem so far in the future, high school is right around the corner and it's time to start preparing. And we want to make sure you're ready. We offer some tips for students quite often and for you two parents as your students progressing from the middle school years into high school. You know that attendance is very important. It's amazing how often I speak to students in classrooms and I talk about attendance and getting used to that now as an 8th grader or 7th grader or even 6th grader. It's very important to know that once 9th grade hits, all attendance will matter. That's recorded on transcripts where colleges will see that attendance, and that makes a difference sometimes in how many days the student may be absent, and it paints a bigger picture of what's going on in the student or the household. So attendance is always going to be important. Go to school for the right reasons to learn and to be there to help yourself. Take the right classes. Taking the right classes will be at of course, the mercy of your school counselor to help you and you, the parent, to agree to those classes that your student may take. And develop, if you've not already developed, maintain those good study habits. That's going to be very key as you're progressing through high school to make sure you can be ready for those college days. Parents, reinforce learning at home. Continue to reward your students, to encourage them to do their best at whatever it is that they're doing at school. Of course, their classes, but any of those extracurricular activities, just encourage that and certainly reinforce any type of learning there at home. Talk about careers and going to college or whatever the next steps may be, the career pathway. You know, that's very important for families to have those conversations about what is next. And how can I help you along the way right now? Talk about all the possibilities and the journeys that the student may wish to take. That's going to be big, and certainly dream big is quite often what we tell students and parents. Open up and just simply have the conversation. And something different that we've not really thought about much before, but we know that Power School for all of our public school students is big right now. Continue to monitor your school progress in your student portal, you and your parent portal. Go there often, and certainly as the high school years come, to make sure those transcripts, make sure those grades and those classes are reflected accurately in Power School. That's very important that you're maintaining all the appropriate information and make sure it is accurate, make sure it is correct. Some more tips: be serious about those grades. Even in that 9th grade year, be serious about grades in all your grade levels, no matter what grade level you're in, but certainly that first year of high school. That's what colleges look at. They don't look at just junior and senior year of high school, as you may know. They're going to look at 9th, 10th, 11th grade, 12th grade for our early college students, that 5th grade year. So we know that from 9th through the 13th grade level, for many of our students in early college, this is going to make a difference. So be very serious about your grades starting off in those high school years. Get to know your school counselors and your teachers. Ask them where they went to college, how they decided on their career pathway. Was it easy? Was it hard? How many times did they change? That's good dialogue and good conversation to get the process started for students if they really have no idea where to begin and what to do. And always stay connected with your school. Attend parent-student meetings. Sign up for those school communication apps, the Remind, the Bloom, whatever it may be that your school is offering. Sign up for those to make sure you're knowing all the pertinent information that's coming from your school and the student that would be involved in that make sure you are on top of it. And if you are on social media, follow your school's social media platforms. If they have Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever it may be, that's a great way to make sure you're on top of what's happening, any types of meetings that are going to be coming up. That's a great, sporting activities, any type of involvement that you can have with your school is going to be very important. And it's only going to encourage your student more and more beyond the years of high school of what to do. And of course, stay involved. This is what colleges look at. They want to see that the student's doing very well in school, that 9th grade through the 12th or 13th year. They want to make sure that, of course, they're taking the right classes and they're learning well, but they also want to make sure they're very well rounded in other aspects. And learning to help others is big. Quite often for admissions interviews or scholarship interviews, this is asked for students to tell more about their involvement in the community, their volunteer activities, helping to help others and learning to help others, sharing that with admissions folks at colleges and scholarship committees will make a big difference quite often in that admissions and or the awarding of those dollars when it comes to scholarships. Not only learning to help others, stay involved all 4 years or all 5 years of high school, any types of clubs or SGA or sports or anything else that your school may have that you want to be a part of and you want to take on a leadership role, that's going to be very important too. Colleges love to see that information. And it's only going to help you better as a person, not only helping you go to college or certainly for your future years beyond college, but it's going to help you all the way around to be a better person. So what is next? That's a little bit about how to prepare as you're leaving middle school, going into high school and that transition. So how can we help you at College Foundation of North Carolina? What types of resources do we have that we can help you in this journey? So I'm going to share the screen now with Tequila. I think she's going to pick up with some information now to talk about College Foundation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Amy. So we have a lot of great information on College Foundation of North Carolina's website. So of course, CFNC is a career and college readiness website that's going to help your students get prepared for the future. Now, the very first thing that we encourage your student to do is to create an account on our website. So the username and password that they create not only will benefit them right now as they're about to transition into high school, but it will follow them their entire high school career into college. And let me just be honest, I'm a parent and I'm still using my CFNC account. So it is something that is going to be with them for a lifetime. So creating that account takes about 5 minutes at most. So let's just talk about a few things that you might find helpful when you're working with your student. We have an amazing area that's called Plan Your Future. In Plan Your Future, you'll find many things there. So one of the most popular features on our website is researching student enrichment programs. So right now, I'm sure that you and your students are having a conversation about what high school they're going to be going to, what kind of career they're interested in. And as we approach the summer, your student may choose or want to participate in a summer enrichment program, and many of them are on college or university campuses. So we say summer, but enrichment programs that are not always during the summer, they can be during the academic year. So lots of activities to find out, is this really a career that your student really wants to go into? Is it something they're going to say, hey, you know what, this is something that I really want to try, and they may come back and say, I don't know if I enjoyed that experience. I want to try something different. So we want your students to explore their career interests and find the right fit. As we start thinking about preparing for, like my colleague said, what's next, also in planning your future, you'll notice that we have a timeline. So right now, your student is in middle school. So you can see as early as 8th grade, different activities that your student might participate in all the way through actually adult learner. So as an incoming freshman, there's some things that we want to make sure your student is mindful of. So we want to make sure they know about college entrance requirements. So are they on track for that? So are they going to go to a 4-year college? Is it going to be public, private? Are they thinking about a community college? So whatever college or institution of higher learning they're considering, want to make sure they're meeting the requirements. Another activity that's going to be important for that freshman year is learn about ways to save and pay for college. So I hear a lot of parents saying, I want to wait until that senior year or junior year before we start thinking about how we can pay for college. And I want to encourage you as parents on this meeting tonight to not wait. Go ahead and encourage your students to look at scholarship opportunities out there to see, if they meet the criteria or what scholarships they can potentially apply for. And there are some that are available to students earlier than that senior year. We already talked about, discovering college preparation opportunity programs, but make sure your student is checking their college and career planning dashboard often. So there's always a call to action for your student. Also, in Planning Your Future, we have a whole area that talks about planning for college. So, by the time that we see your student in that junior and senior year, we hope that they have a target college list. So at least 3 to 4 serious colleges that they plan to apply for. So our college search is amazing. This is where students can indicate certain things that are important to them as they start to research college and university. So again, key facts: are they looking for a 2-year or 4-year school? Maybe is it going to be a school that's in North Carolina? They might be looking at schools outside of North Carolina. So there's lots of information that they can put in. Are they interested in, a school that has a large campus, small campus? So that might be important. But the more information your student puts into this college search, the more customized it's going to be. So from here, they are able to save the school of their choice. They're able to look at the profile and learn more about, academics. They can learn about financial aid opportunities, interest requirements. So lots of details that are going to be important to them as they prepare for the future. Now, I want to talk a little bit about SAT and ACT test prep. Now, I'm sure that you guys have heard a lot of things that some schools may be test optional. So we really encourage your students, as they're building that target college list that we're talking about, they're looking to see what's required for the admission process. So some schools may still want to see SAT and ACT test scores. Some may say it is optional. And not only are colleges and universities looking at SAT and ACT test scores, but there are some scholarship programs that like to see those scores. So on CFNC, we do have a wonderful tutorial that your student can take advantage of to be prepared for either exam. Now, college entrance requirements, I know that as your students are preparing for high school, you're going to be spending some time with your students' counselor. Your students going to be spending some time with their counselor, talking about, post-secondary plans. And based upon the type of institution they're planning to go to, we want to make sure they're meeting those GPA requirements. And like I said, SAT, ACT test scores. So on the College Foundation of North Carolina website, we do provide information about those requirements. So here on the screen, you do see some of the course requirements for UNC institutions. So you can see the number of English units that are required, math units that are required, science units, social studies, foreign language, so forth. So want to make sure that your students are aware of all the requirements as well as you, the parent. Now, something that College Foundation did a little bit ago, not too long ago, is we joined forces with nccareers.org. So, of course, nccareers.org provides a robust offering of career information. And so, um, through that partnership, we're able to offer lots of different assessments that your student can take in order to find out what careers they might, really do well in, or to further investigate some of the careers they know that they might find interest in. So different assessments there, they can explore occupations, lots of information to help your students to get career ready. Now, one of my favorite assessments that we have on our website is reality check. And so I know your students are thinking about what their life might look like. And I have, a middle school as well as a high school student myself. And, often we talk about, in the future, do you see yourself as someone who's married or single? Do you plan to have children? And depending on what they decide and where they decide to live, they can actually do a simulation to figure out, will they be able to survive on the money that they might make for the occupation that they want? So it's going to ask students about, what type of housing do you want? Do you want to own your own home? Or are you going to be a renter? Or are you going to live at home with your parents? So are they going to stay home with you guys? They're able to indicate utilities, transportation, food, clothes, entertainment, personal expenditures, healthcare. And then, of course, it's going to tell them how much these things cost. So this is a great takeaway for you guys. After this meeting tonight, just talk to your students to see if they really know how much things cost. And when they get to the very end, it's going to say, hey, this is how much it's going to cost you to live the way that you've indicated during this assessment. Some of your students will need a reality check. It's a fun activity. I encourage your students to do it. You might even want to do it with your students and have a conversation, but a great activity for students as they're preparing for the future. And then we want to make sure students know before they go. So does your student know if the career that they're interested in, is it growing? Is it going to have a really good salary? We want them to, not go into this without doing research. So it's important that your student do as much research as possible, before deciding definitively on their career choice. So they want to look at careers with the highest projected growth rate. We want to make sure we see the needle going to the right and not to the left, as we're looking at projections. And so, how many job openings are available? So we want to make sure your students are taking, that into consideration. And not only that, we want students to also understand the nature of the work. So do they really understand what they're going to be doing that job every day? Do they know how much education is going to be required for their career? How can they advance in that career? So a lot of times when they're looking at careers, students may not understand that we're looking at entry level salary. And then of course, as they become more seasoned, or as they become more seasoned in their profession, their earning potential can increase. So we definitely want to make sure that they're aware of that. Now, this is what I know all parents are thinking about. Now, like I said, I'm right there with you. I'm a parent, and I'm 2 years away from having one of my kids go off to college, and we want to make sure that we're prepared just like you do. So one of the things that we strongly encourage parents to consider is saving. So anything that you can save is going to be helpful. It will decrease the amount of loan indebtedness that you might have in the future. So one of those vehicles for saving is our NC 529. So that allows you to save for any accredited college or university in the country. So 2-year, 4-year, public, private, in-state or out of state. So you're saving for things like tuition, fees, room and board, books, supplies, other equipment. Other equipment might be a computer. So we invite you to take a look. You'll see our website link there, cfnc.org/NC529. And then as your student gets to that senior year, we'll talk a little bit more with you about the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. And this is, a document that's out there by the Department of Education. And you, along with your students, will do it for the first time in that senior year and each year after that, if they want to be considered for federal state grants, federal loans, federal work study. So, you want to make sure that you're doing that with your student. And many colleges will also use that application to determine eligibility for institutional aid. Now, some schools may even have a supplemental application. So be mindful of that. So we invite you to go to those colleges' websites, look at the admissions part, but also equally as important is to look at the financial aid part. Educational loans are out there. There are loans for students and parents. If you decide that you need to borrow, just because you borrow one time doesn't mean that you're obligated to borrow each time. There are payment plans. So as we talk about payment plans, many colleges make those available. They may have an internal payment plan, or they may work with a third-party servicer. So usually you're just paying an enrollment fee to participate, and they're allowing you to pay as you go. So that is beneficial. So even if you think that you're not going to need it, it's good to know that information is available. And then information about scholarships. So I will say that we have an amazing scholarship search that we've added to our website. So you definitely want to take a look at that. But our main scholarship resources would be local. So, work with your school counselor. They have information that they'll tell you about. How do they disseminate information? Is it a scholarship newsletter? Is it on their website? How do they share information about scholarships? And I want to give you a little tidbit. Even though your student is younger, if you can get your hands on one of those scholarship bulletins, or you go to their website and just look to see what's out there. Now, there's some state-based programs out there, so that information is available on the CFNC.org website. Institutional scholarship opportunities, you'll find that out by visiting the college websites of schools that your students are interested in. And not only that, there are national scholarships. So there are many websites out there. You'll see a few listed on the screen. And you can, just Google. But one of the things I want to make sure that you understand is please do not pay anyone to help you find money for school. There are lots of organizations out there that want you to pay them money to do what you can do for yourself for free. So you have college advisors, your school counselors, and things of that nature. And we didn't put this on the screen, but I want to just say this too. Parents, employers may offer awards that you can see if your student's eligible for. Your student may work in the future and their job may have something. Faith-based organizations. So you don't want to leave any stone unturned. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to let my colleague Amy Denton introduce our special guest. We have some great information to share with you about Career and College Promise.
All right. Thank you, Tequila. We are very fortunate to have Natasha Worthington on the meeting with us tonight. She is the Director of High School Programs at Pitt Community College. And we have found in previous times we've given this presentation that Career and College Promise, as well as other opportunities for high school students to take college classes, has been asked about. So we have brought Natasha back to be able to share her expertise, and she truly does know a lot of information and is an expert as a parent too of students preparing for this process of beyond high school. So Natasha, I'm going to turn it over for you to share the next couple of slides.
Hello, everyone. I want to first say thank you to Amy and Tequila for inviting me back this year to talk about Career and College Promise. And I will tell the audience that I work at Pitt Community College. I'm Director of High School Programs there, but Career and College Promise the program itself is a statewide program. So I just want to give that disclaimer. I'm not just speaking, about Pitt Community College and trying to get everybody to come there. It is a statewide program. And I'm going to give you guys just some basic information about how the program works and, give you some things to think about starting now as early as, your child going into high school. Because as you've already heard from both Ms. Denton and from Sakila, there's, you can't get started too early. I myself, in addition to doing this job, I have an 11th grader myself. And so we're at the point now where we are preparing, for her to apply to college next year. So we're starting to do college tours, starting to look for money to pay for it. So you can never start too early. So first of all, just some basics about what Career and College Promise is. If you've heard of dual enrollment, if you've heard about people who have kids who are taking college classes while in high school, that is what the Career and College Promise program is. So North Carolina has 2 different dual enrollment programs. The first is Career and College Promise. So that is the dual enrollment program that allows eligible high school students that are enrolled in traditional high schools to take college classes through their local community college while they're still in high school. North Carolina also has what's called the Cooperative Innovation High Schools, which are the early colleges. So although they operate under the same umbrella, they are separate programs. And I work with Career and College Promise, so the students who are at the traditional high schools. So again, it's dual enrollment program for high school students that are eligible. They can take classes while they're in high school. And the basis of this program is that students in high school can start to earn college credit while they're in high school that will transfer with them to other 2-year institutions and 4-year institutions in North Carolina. And a lot of the in-state, private, and out-of-state schools just really dependent on what the student takes, what their goals are, and what has been worked out between the institutions. These classes can also be used to meet high school graduation requirements. And again, this is not just a one school program. This program is available to everyone across the whole entire state. So all 58 community colleges, all public, private, and homeschool students are eligible to participate in Career and College Promise. So I just mentioned it's available to, private school, homeschool, public school kids across the whole state. In order to participate, there are 2 different tracks. There's the college transfer track, which most students take those classes, especially in my area where I work at. We have more students interested in the college transfer classes than in CTE, although our CTE programs are growing. The college transfer pathway allows students to take your general education classes, things like music appreciation, public speaking, your Englishes, your maths, your sciences, just general education courses that will count towards any major at a university or another 2-year institution, but also can fulfill some of the high school requirements. And I know I have colleagues across the state that I've talked to and participated in events such as this one with, and I can tell you that the purpose of Career and College Promise is not necessarily for students just to take college level courses to pad their high school GPA, but again, the purpose is for students to prepare to go into college. So as long as students are making C's or better, then a 4-year institution will take these courses as transfer credits. Every UNC system school in North Carolina and a lot of the private schools in North Carolina, it's already been worked out. It's called the Comprehensive Articulation Agreement. And so any of those transfer courses, as long as the student has a C or better, are going to transfer into these institutions. Some of them are what we call, and the acronym is UGETC. That's Universal General Education Transfer Credit. So that means a psychology class at the community college, a C or better is going to go to East Carolina University, North Carolina A&C, North Carolina Central, UNC Wilmington as a psychology class. And so for myself and my staff, when we sit down with students, we're very, very intentional with how we advise students, because again, the purpose is for students to not only get the high school credit, but to prepare to go into a university or another 2-year institution. So we're very intentional when we advise students because we want to prepare this student and help them meet their goals after high school. And it saves money, and I'll get to that in a minute, but it saves money. But as far as eligibility, most students start their junior, senior year, because that's typically when students start in the program. Junior, senior year, as long as they have a 2.8 or higher unweighted GPA, there are no restrictions on what the student is eligible to take. Again, this is a statewide program, and so at some community colleges across the state, there are classes that are not available to students, not because they just can't take them, but because that school may not offer them. And so that is a conversation you'll have to have with the Career College Promise staff at the institution that serves your area. But as long as students have a 2.8 or higher GPA in their junior and senior year, then there are not very many restrictions at all on what they can do. 9th and 10th graders are also eligible to take Career College Promise classes. Those situations, and I can tell you across the state, is handled on an individual basis, just simply because 9th and 10th graders do have to meet additional eligibility criteria. And that's both for transfer and our CTE pathways. So what are the benefits? I've talked about how students can use these courses to fulfill both their high school requirements and earn college credit. So that is definitely a benefit. I mentioned earlier that I have a child that's in the 11th grade right now. And so she did start taking classes after her 9th grade year. She took one the summer after, and then she took another the summer after 10th grade, just to kind of get her feet wet and figure out how the courses worked. And for me as her mother, to see if moving forward, this was something that I felt like she could handle. So now her junior year, she takes the majority of her classes at the community college. And I told you that when we sit down with students, we're very intentional. Well, my child has told me since middle school that what she wants to do when she gets out of high school, where she wants, what she wants to do for a college major and a profession. And so we've looked at every UNC system school in North Carolina that offers the undergrad major that she wants. We've looked at their degree plans, and we've chosen the college courses that she's currently taking based on those degree plans. And so wherever she ends up going, as long as she's making C's or better, then those courses will be complete. She won't have to do them when she gets there. So that is one of the benefits of your child taking these classes while in high school. They won't have to do them when they go to a university, as long as they perform well. So in addition to the high school and earning high school and college credit, students are offered, rigorous courses. They're relevant to their university studies because, again, the CCP staff at your institutions will be very intentional with helping your child choose the correct courses. For those taking CTE courses, and when I say CTE, I mean the career and technical education. So classes like in the criminal justice department, or in our business department. We also have classes like welding and building and construction. It just really depends on the institution. Some institutions offer things that others don't, but all of those programs align with careers and complete education programs across the state. And so students can get a jump start on those programs as well. There has been research done that shows that students who do take college classes while in high school are more likely to persist at a four-year institution than those who don't. That does not mean that a student who never takes advantage of Career College Promise won't do well. There are just studies that have been done that show if your child has taken college level courses while in high school, including AP classes, then they are more likely to do better when they get to a university because they've already been introduced to the rigors of taking college level courses. And this is one that is a big benefit. Students who are taking advantage of Career College Promise across the whole state, the classes are free. There's no tuition, no fees, and depending on where you live and what institution serves your area, you may not have to buy books. Here in Pitt County, our students pay a $48 per semester fee, and they are responsible for their own books. Going back to my own child, I've done the math, and for the 2 years worth of courses that she will be taking, so she'll have a full 2 years of college credit, so roughly her freshman and sophomore year, with the $48 fee every semester and the cost of the books for the courses that we've mapped out, I'll pay $1,300 for 2 years worth of college. And depending on where she goes, that could range anywhere between $20,000 to $40,000. It just really depends on where, we're looking at. But I've done the math and it's $1,300 for 2 years worth of college courses, roughly 60 credit hours. So the cost benefit is definitely one of the best benefits of your child taking advantage of this program. And then lastly, Career and College Promise just gives options for students that may not have other options simply because of the cost of education nowadays. But also we have students that, they don't think that they're going to college or that college is even an option. So if they start taking these classes in the high schools, while they're in high school, then that kind of shows them that, yes, you can go to college. Yes, it is an option for you. And here in Pitt County, we teach classes in some of our high schools. Actually, we teach something in all of our public high schools and a couple of our private high schools as well. And when students take those classes, we remove even the $48 fee. So that's not a barrier for those students. Just trying to make sure we're making it equitable and giving access to those who may not have it otherwise. So that's a very broad overview, very kind of went through it kind of quickly. But I wanted to be able to answer questions that we always have questions when we start talking about what your child can and cannot do. And so I'm happy to answer questions from parents who have them about Career and College Promise and what your child can and cannot do.
Thank you, Natasha. And I think when we get to the next slide, we're going to open up for questions, and we already have some in the chat that may be good to address to the whole group and that we may need you definitely to help answer those. So that was a wonderful bit of information to talk about those, of course, high school credits while in high school to gain towards your college experience. So as we wrap up with the overall presentation, if you want to be connected to College Foundation, make sure you're reaching out and you're following us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. We have also a wonderful list of videos and webinars that have been recorded on our YouTube channel. And you can find us at all of these at the handles there, College Foundation of North Carolina, or at CFNC, at MyCFNC. And we will continue to share information about upcoming presentations and trainings or events in the state that we think you as parents should be involved. And so make sure you're looking out for those on our social media sites. And also, we have more events that I mentioned on our website at cfnc.org/events. So if you want to stay tuned to those, check us out every now and then to see what types of activities or webinars that we have coming up that you may also want to register for those too. Always come to our website, cfnc.org. Feel welcome to call us. Our call center representatives are there to make sure they can help answer your questions about career and college and where to find things on CFNC's website. So I think that will be of a big help to you as you're going through this journey with your student. So Tequila, would you want to take a look at some of the questions and ask those to Natasha if indeed they're related?
Absolutely. And so we had a really good question, Natasha. This is from a parent. It says, I understand that credits transfer and can fulfill college level courses, but do the actual grades transfer and go towards their overall GPA at the college to which they transfer?
For dual enrollment courses, grades do not transfer. So when your student makes a C or better in their college classes, the receiving institution will give them credit for the courses. So their GPA starts over completely when they get to a university or another college. But remember, you have to send official transcripts to these institutions in order to get the credit. So although the grade itself won't transfer, and you'll get the credit with a C or better, the institution will still see the grades. So it is definitely beneficial for students to, make the A's and B's or just do their best. But to answer, the short answer to the question is the GPA will not transfer, just the credit.
Thank you, Natasha. And I think there was another one. I'm not sure if we sent it to the whole group. And so let me just read this one. My kid applied to early college and currently is in the application pool, can he benefit from CCP?
It really depends on where you are, like what institution it serves you. If your child gets into the early college, then those programs are designed for kids to start taking college classes as early as 9th grade. And so again, the traditional high school students and the early colleges fall under the same umbrella. The programs will just run differently and separated. So short answer again, yes, your child can get the benefits of CCP. And if he gets into the early college, then it's designed for your child to get those courses. Usually they're top heavy in the 9th and 10th grade on the traditional high school courses. And then the 11th and 12th grade, the kids start taking more of the college classes, because again, the design is meant for the kids to get those college classes.
Natasha, can you talk a little bit about the CCP classes, and are they all taken on the college campus itself? Are they online through the high school? Do students have to travel to the college and back to their high school during the day?
Again, this is a statewide program, and so every individual institution, while all of them have the program, it looks different at every school. So I can just tell you at Pitt, our students are allowed to just do whatever fits their schedule. Kids take or students take online classes, and you can plan it in their high school day. They take classes on our campus during the day and just plan it in their high school day. We also offer classes at all of our public high schools in Pitt County, where we teach courses throughout the day at their schools. And so for kids who don't have transportation or who may not have access to certain resources they need to come to our campus or to take classes online, then they have the option of doing it at their school. And that's where those conversations with the counselors are very important. When we sit down with students to help them figure out what their Pitt classes are going to be or what college classes they're going to take, part of that conversation is after they've talked to the counselor to determine what do they have left for graduation purposes. Can they fit a class in their day? So for instance, if a student, when our students are in the process of registering for next school year, they have to register for 8 classes. They may only require 6 for graduation purposes. And so that leaves them with 2 open spots to take college classes. And of that 6, let's say one is American history, where they can get that at the college as well. So that leaves them with 3 spots for college classes and 5 for the high school classes. And students just work with their counselors to determine where they're going to fit their Pitt classes. We have a lot of kids that, for the ones who are coming on our campus, they typically start their day with us. So they'll come, first or second period, and then go to their high school. Or they'll go to their high school for the first period or 2 and then come to the college. And then we have kids who are in their junior, senior years who don't ever go to their high school because they take all their classes at Pitt. So again, it truly, truly depends on the individual situation, but that's why those conversations are very important.
Thank you, Natasha. You're right. I have another question that came in directly to me. A little bit above it, you've already answered, but let's just ask this again for the whole group to understand. Because again, we know that every high school in every county is different, and based on the community college requirements, they're different. But the question is, how can my child enroll to early college her freshman and sophomore year? As far as I know, her school does not offer college courses until their junior or senior year. So limitations that the high school has placed.
Right. And that is
Yeah.
based on the preference of the county. I will say, just statewide, the 9th and 10th grade eligibility has changed in the last 3 years, or now 4 years. Prior to COVID, 9th and 10th graders could only do CTE related courses, and they were very limited. They could do business classes, they could do things like welding and automotive, but allowing 9th and 10th graders to do transfer courses starting in 9th and 10th grade changed in the fall of 2018. And those students must be AIG identified and have standardized test scores. And so while there are some institutions that they don't offer it right now, simply because And that's their choice. You know, locally, we can make decisions about what's offered as far as 9th and 10th graders. But I will tell you, for 9th and 10th graders to do the transfer classes, they have to be AIG identified in both reading and math, and they have to have standardized test scores that meet the minimum requirements. And so that's just changed in the last few years. Again, it's on an individual basis with each institution. So those are just questions you need to ask. It is available across the state. You just have to ask your institution how they handle those situations.
Natasha, I just want to go back, looking at a few other questions. Can you go back? We still have a parent that needs a little bit more clarification on how the student is getting college credit, but it isn't going towards the GPA. Can you just, I think there's still some confusion.
I see the question. So just to clarify, the college classes do count towards the high school GPA. But when transferring to a 4-year institution, the GPA does not transfer. So I hope that makes sense. All of the transfer classes count on all of the community college classes in general count on the high school GPA. So it does impact their high school GPA. But as far as a college goes, when they are applying to a 4-year institution, again, they're just going to get credit for these courses with a C or better, and their GPA won't be impacted at all. But it does, I'll just say it again, it does count towards the high school GPA. And for all transfer courses, the credit is an AP credit. So it counts the same as students taking an AP course. And then for anything that's not a transfer class, which is most of the CTE courses, they count for standard credit on a high school GPA. I hope that answers the question.
It does. I think it clarifies it. And certainly if it does not for anyone in the chat, feel welcome to put your comment there. Natasha, you may see the question about the IB degree program, the student that was assigned to the magnet high school that has the IB program. Do you want to address that too?
Now, Pitt County does not offer the IB program. Our partner county next to us in Lenore County, they do. I am not well versed on how the IB program works. I know, well, the little bit I do know is that they're college level courses and give college credit as well. It just, again, truly depends on how the program works at your child's high school. If they are an IB school, she can still take classes through CCP if there are some courses that she can't get through IB, if that makes sense. We had our early college high school liaison, as a matter of fact, her son went through the IB program, but he took classes through CCP as well, because there were some things that he couldn't get through IB. And so he went in with the credit from both IB and the community college. So again, it's just tailored, it's individually tailored. Work with your school counselor to determine if there will be any gaps in what your child is able to get and what they can supplement by taking the classes through CCP.
That's great information and good advice, Natasha. Thank you. Tequila, have we missed any other questions that were in the chat, or Soretta, have we gotten caught up, I think?
I don't know. I think we had a scholar who wanted to know if it was advisable to work. Could they work and be able to take the CCP classes?
Oh, absolutely. I think, whatever the right balance is for you, and, the amount of time that you need to commit to your studies, and if that will allow you for a part-time job, certainly working through high school and maintaining your coursework looks good. Looks good to a college, looks good to a scholarship committee, because you're developing the right balance. I always share that with students when I'm before them talking. I did that myself as a student. So it's really whatever is best for your situation and what you're comfortable and capable of doing, and certainly involving your family in that decision as well. But if you can, then absolutely.
And I agree with everything Amy said, but I will tell you, just it's good to know how to juggle and manage everything that you do. So in order to be well-rounded, between taking college classes, high school classes, having a job, playing sports, it can get to be a lot. So just remember, you know what you can handle, and keep that in mind when you are trying to decide what classes to take, how many to take. I'll use the example of my own child again. We've mapped it out so that next year as a senior, she won't have as many courses. She's taking more now than she will take next year, because senior year is stressful enough without having to take 5, 6 college classes. And I have students that do that. And I mean, it's a lot. I will say it's a lot, but you know what you can handle. But it is great to learn how to manage the working and school and having a social life, because as you get older and when you get ready to go to college and then afterwards, that's exactly what your life will look like. I
All
see
right.
there's a question in here about when is the best time to take the SAT and ACT.
Okay.
I would say anytime. And I know in North Carolina
Mhm.
paid all public high schools in North Carolina pays for students to do the pre-ACT in 10th grade and ACT in the 11th grade. So they'll get that in high school. But as far as the SAT, I'd recommend definitely doing it somewhere in the junior year, either before, during, or right after. And then that way, if your child doesn't have the scores that you've or he or she feel that they need to have, then you'll still have time to do it again before it's time to really start getting those college applications out. Um,
When did
and-
your daughter take those tests, Natasha?
well, she took the SAT in 9th grade just so we can kind of
Mhm.
get a baseline to see where she would score. And then she took pre-ACT last year in the 10th grade. She's taking the ACT next week, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And that she'll take the SAT again this summer. And man, I will say, I think there was a question, or you may have mentioned this earlier. A lot of schools right now are still test optional, but just because we're starting the process with my child, a lot of the merit scholarships, they want your scores. So even though the university may not need it, if you want to be eligible for merit-based scholarships, they are going to want scores. So it is still important to have scores.
Natasha, we have another question that came up. Well, actually, we have a few more questions. Do CCP courses at community college provide community service or internships? Community service is required for medical student applications.
Once a student is taking classes through CCP, they are considered a student on that campus. And so if any resources, any student activities, anything that is going on that campus, a student can be a part of. So we have students that are on our SGA. We have high school students that are officers in our SGA. They participate in student activities, which includes things like career services. So if career services has internships or community service activities that are going on campus that doesn't have any age restrictions, then yes, the high schoolers can take advantage of it as well. And Ms. Johnson said, if you take the ACT or SAT more than once, the colleges see all those scores. And Amy just answered it. Yes, colleges do see all the scores. Some colleges use what's called the super score. That's the question to ask the admissions department, because everybody does it differently.
Okay, Natasha, I'm looking to see if we have any more questions. Soretta, you can help me out if you see anything, but I'm not seeing any more questions. Okay, Natasha, I don't see any more questions. Are there any final thoughts, anything that you would like to share that maybe we did not cover that might be beneficial to the group?
Again, I'm approaching this both from the Career College Promise standpoint, but also as a parent, and everything that Amy and Tequila shared prior to my part of the presentation is exactly what I've been doing the last couple of years. And I will tell you, parents, for those, most of your kids are in 8th grade going into high school. Again, you cannot start too early. And I would tell you to start now and when they start in 9th grade, because if you wait until 11th or 12th grade, you're going to be overwhelmed. It is a lot. It definitely is a lot. luckily, my child's mind has not changed since 7th grade. She's been telling me the same thing since 7th grade as far as what career she wants to do when she graduates. And so every opportunity that she signed up for, every extracurricular, all of the supplemental activities and summer programs and things that she's been involved in over the last 3 or 4 years have all been leading her in the same direction. I'll just share, she wants to be a physical therapist. And so just over the last 4 years, everything that she's done, from summer immersion programs to she was part of a group at the Brody School of Medicine called Brody Rise for minority students interested in medical careers. She's done that for 3 years and been exposed to a lot of different areas in the medical field. She just interviewed for an internship actually at the hospital here to work with the physical therapy department for the next school year. And so everything that she's done for the last 4 years is leading her to this career that she said she wanted since 7th grade. So again, it's never too early to start. And I would just say, take advantage of every opportunity that you can to expose your child. If they don't know, that's fine, but expose them to different careers, different opportunities, so that maybe it can help your child to make their mind up about what direction they do want to go in.
Very good, Natasha. Also, I want to just share one other thing before we start to wrap up. Parents, it's okay to make appointments with your counselors. You don't have to wait until the school counselor does an appointment with you or your student goes to see the school counselor. I always tell parents to be proactive. You can schedule those appointments at any time. Like I said, I have a middle school student. I also have a high school student. There's sometimes it's not convenient for me to go to the school, and I've had to set up a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting or whatever with the school counselor. Teachers, if you have questions about the course or whatever, you can, talk to your students' teachers. Take advantage of those opportunities. And I cannot stress to you how important it is to make sure that you are staying abreast of what your student is doing as far as their coursework. So for my student, both my kids, I don't check grades every day. This is too much for me. So what I do is, I go into my parent portal and I actually schedule to get updates about grades once a week. And so the day that I choose is Monday. So every Monday I get an update about child's progress. I can see, if they, all the different, grades, what those grades were. For me, I just can't do it every day, or multiple times a week. Once a week is good enough for me. And so have those conversations with your students. If your students are having blind spots or they're having difficulties with courses, there are tutoring services that are available. And sometimes students have a hard time communicating that need. And so we want to make sure your students do well. So take advantage of all those opportunities. So I think that we're at the end of our program. We want to thank everyone so much for joining us. I want to thank all of our staff for College Foundation of North Carolina that's helping us with the chat. And we just hope that this was beneficial to you. I think we had a few questions in the chat about whether there's going to be a recording and if that's going to be shared. So this webinar is being recorded and we will be sharing it with all participants and anyone who may have registered for the event and could not attend. Any final thoughts, Saretta?
Thank you, Tequila, for that. And thank you, Natasha, for being such an expert to share your insight and your knowledge from your professional job and as a parent to be able to help our parents and students that were on the call tonight. So I thank you. Thank you, Tequila. Thank you, Saretta, for helping out with the chat. And we will share this information out with you within the next couple of days. And if you have any questions, feel welcome to let us know, and we'll continue to be able to help you. So thank you again, and we hope to see you soon on another webinar.